What would you do if the woman who destroyed you showed up at your door begging to be let in at 2 a.m.? It was the kind of knock that doesn't wait. Hard, frantic, desperate. I shot up in bed, heart racing, every shadow in my apartment. Suddenly alive. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. Who the hell would knock at 2 in the morning? I wrapped my robe tighter and padded to the door, bare feet silent against the hardwood. My building wasn't the kind of place that welcomed uninvited guests. Most of my neighbors were night owls, artists, or ghosts who minded their own business. This wasn't the hour for friendly hellos. Another knock louder, more insistent. I pressed my eye to the peephole and froze. Avery Sterling. I hadn't said her name in years. I trained myself not to. Like it was a poison I could keep out of my bloodstream if I just refused to remember the taste. And yet, here she was. Her hair was a mess. The sleek blonde waves I once envied now tangled and damp from the rain. Her makeup smeared like she'd been crying or drinking. Probably both. And her eyes, those steel gray eyes that had once commanded entire boardrooms, they looked hollow, broken. I whispered her name before I could stop myself. Avery. She leaned against my door, voice trembling. Jordan, please. Just open the door, please. I should have slammed the lock tighter. I should have called security. This was the woman who had ruined my life, who let me take the fall for a scandal I hadn't created, who watched me lose my job, my reputation, and nearly my sanity, while she kept her empire intact. But instead, my hand shook on the deadbolt. Against every ounce of rage and logic in my body, I turned it. The door creaked open. And there she was, flesh, blood, and the faint sting of whiskey on her breath. "You have 5 seconds," I said flatly, keeping my voice sharper than my racing pulse. Avery staggered forward, catching herself on the frame. Her suit jacket was wrinkled, her blouse unbuttoned just enough to reveal a line of skin that made my throat go dry in ways I hated myself for. I need to talk to you," she whispered. "I don't know where else to go." I laughed, bitter. "You had 100 places to go, but you came here? To the woman you—" Her eyes snapped up to mine, wet and pleading. "The woman I wronged. The woman I can't stop thinking about. The woman who deserves the truth." Her words slammed into me, stealing the breath from my chest. The truth. For years, I'd begged for it, cried for it, lost myself searching for it. And now, at 2 in the morning, Avery Sterling was standing in my doorway, dripping rain on my welcome mat, whispering promises I didn't trust but couldn't ignore. "Give me one reason," I hissed, "why I shouldn't throw you back out into the storm." Her hand shook as she reached into her coat pocket. She pulled out a folder, thick and worn, water staining its edges. She held it out like an offering. "Because this," she said, voice breaking, "proves you were innocent, that you never leaked those contracts. But I let you burn for something I should have stopped." I stared at the folder, at her trembling hands, at the ghost of the woman who had once been untouchable, now unraveling in front of me. The storm outside howled, as if demanding my answer. Do I slam the door on my past, or do I let it walk inside, dripping wet, broken, and more dangerous than ever? Would you let the person who ruined your life back into your bed? I should have shut the door. I should have let the storm take her. But I didn't. Avery stumbled inside, brushing past me, her perfume faint but unmistakable. That sharp, expensive scent I used to breathe in during late nights at the office before everything went to hell. She dropped the folder onto my coffee table and collapsed onto the couch like she belonged there. Like 3 years of silence and destruction hadn't just vanished the second she knocked on my door. "You're insane," I muttered, locking the door behind me. Absolutely insane. Her head tilted back, eyes closing as if the storm outside was nothing compared to the one in here. "Maybe, but you opened the door." God, I hated how that landed, how true it was. I stayed standing, arms crossed, refusing to give her the comfort of closeness. "You show up drunk at 2 in the morning with what? A file? And I'm supposed to believe it fixes everything?" Her eyes fluttered open, meeting mine. For a second, I saw a flicker of the Avery I remembered, the commanding CEO, the woman who could silence a room with one raised brow. But then her gaze softened, and it undid me in ways I wasn't ready for. "It doesn't fix everything," she admitted. "But it proves you weren't guilty, and it's my way of saying I'm sorry for not fighting for you." I laughed bitterly. "Sorry doesn't give me my life back." She leaned forward, elbows on her knees, voice low. "Then let me help you build a new one. That's done." Because as much as I wanted to scream at her, to throw her out, the idea of building something again stirred a fire in me I thought was dead. Why now? I demanded. Why not 3 years ago when I needed you, when everyone was tearing me apart? Her throat worked around the truth. Because I was a coward. The words hung heavy in the room, not an excuse, a confession. I hated her honesty almost as much as I hated the pull between us. You always were, I spat, though my voice trembled. Her lips curved, not in amusement, but in surrender. And you always saw right through me. The silence after was suffocating. The storm outside pounded against the windows, thunder rolling like a warning. Inside, it was just us two women with too much history, too many scars, and a fire we couldn't smother. She shifted on the couch, her blouse falling open a little more, exposing the edge of lace I shouldn't have noticed but couldn't unsee. My eyes lingered for one dangerous second before I snapped them away. Avery smirked softly, catching me. Still looking, Jordan? My face burned. Rage, shame, desire all twisting together. Don't, I warned, my voice breaking. Don't. What? She pressed, standing slowly, closing the space between us. Don't remind you of what we had. Don't make you feel the things you've buried. Her nearness was unbearable. The scent of her perfume. The way her damp hair clung to her cheek. The memory of nights I thought were real nights I thought she chose me before she let me fall. Stay back, I whispered. But I didn't move. Her hand hovered near mine, trembling, inches away. She wasn't the untouchable CEO anymore. She was Avery, broken, pleading, trying to reach me. And I hated how much I wanted her to. Jordan, she whispered, her voice raw, if you tell me to leave. I will, but if you don't. The storm outside cracked with lightning. I didn't speak. I couldn't, and in that silence, Avery took one small, dangerous step closer. What turns hotter at 2 a.m., the truth on paper, or the mouth that speaks it? I didn't step back. I didn't step forward. I let the storm count my breaths. Avery's hand hovered a heartbeat from mine. She didn't nudge me, not yet. Instead, she reached sideways, slid the folder closer on the coffee table, and flipped it open like a confession. Start wherever you can survive, I said, voice low. She swallowed. Then I'll start with the part that hurts me first. Pages fanned out, printouts, screenshots, notarized statements with stiff, official corners, a thumb drive, and a tiny zip bag. Red circles around dates I couldn't forget if I tried. You remember the bid window for the hydro contract? She said. I remember losing my job that week. My eyes didn't leave the paper. Avery nodded, the motion small. Someone accessed your credentials at 1:12 a.m., 3 days before the bids closed. They pulled draft pricing from your sandbox, then routed it to a private Slack workspace. She tapped the highlighted line server logs, IP addresses. Not your laptop. Not your apartment, Midtown. After hours badge. Spencer's. Spencer. The name rusted my tongue. Our tech VP. A handshake masquerading as a man. The board knew within 48 hours, Avery said, voice even now that the facts were doing the cutting. They hired outside counsel. The firm's advice was simple. Sacrifice a smaller name or let the press eat our leadership. They didn't want the VP who'd shepherded 2 acquisitions. They wanted the woman they could call junior and careless in the same breath. Me. The word was both a statement and the bruise itself. Her gray eyes lifted. I said yes. I laughed once, a clean, bright, furious sound. And now you're here with printouts and rain in your hair, and you think I'll call it? Even? No. Avery didn't look away. I think you'll hear me. Silence. She pushed a notarized page toward me. 2 months ago, the security contractor who scrubbed our logs quit. He kept everything, Slack exports, badge pings, a backup of the VPN tunnel with Spencer's MAC address. He was sitting on it until his NDA expired. She exhaled. I paid him to break it. My eyes snapped up. You. I sold shares and used cutouts, she said, and a bitter smile crossed her mouth. Turns out I'm very good at spending money to clean messes I should never have. Aloud, I turned the page. The contractor's affidavit was dry and devastating. Why now? My voice was a thread pulled too tight. Why did you walk through my door now, Avery? She hesitated. The steel slipped. The person underneath spoke. Because I couldn't stop seeing your face when I closed my eyes. Because I have sat in too many rooms where my silence sounded like applause. Because the last time I was brave, I was 24 and broke. Her mouth trembled. I came to ask you for a word I don't deserve and bring you proof I should have brought. 3 years ago. Forgiveness, I said. Or a chance. Her gaze flicked to my mouth and back like a sin she knew how to commit. To do one right thing, maybe two. The thunder rolled. The lamp flickered. My heartbeat didn't. I let the pages catch my fingerprints. Timestamps. Emails. Spencer's private Slack. A dumb joke about poaching the chick's homework. I felt sick. I felt vindicated. I felt like someone had cracked open a window in a room I didn't realize was out of air. You tell the board, I asked. I told the board we were preparing a press statement and notifying the date. Avery's lashes lowered, and I told them I'd resign the minute your name was cleared publicly, not before. My mouth curved. Without permission. The Avery I knew wouldn't have risked a resignation. The Avery you knew, she said softly, was in love with the wrong god. The market, control. She let the words sit between us like a glass of something dark, and maybe a woman who deserved better than the altar I threw her on. The storm dimmed to a steady hiss against the window. I kept reading. An email from the chair. Proceed as discussed. PR needs a head. I recognized the phrase. It had cut me once. When I finally looked up, Avery was watching the space between my hands, like she wanted to lay her apology there and knew it might shatter. What do you want from me? I asked. Her answer was immediate. Permission to clear your name with your words first, not mine. I want to fund whatever platform you want to use, an op-ed, a podcast, a panel. You get to go first. Then I want to pay for counsel to file against the company for wrongful termination and reputation harm. You decide if we settle or scorch the earth, and chest tightened. The and was always the dangerous part. And I want to build something with you that isn't about profit. She held my eyes like we were the last two people left in a city. You once pitched me a project the board laughed off because it wasn't brandable. A 24/7 emergency shelter for women who are leaving in the middle of the night with nothing but keys and fear. Her throat worked. I want to fund it. I want you to lead it. I want my hands in it, not just my name. I stirred. The memory rose in me like heat from a sidewalk after rain. My slide deck, soft-spoken and stubborn. Her gaze across the table interested, then shuddered. The jokes after from the old guard about charity chic. You kept the deck, I said. I kept the deck, she echoed, a sad smile tugging at her mouth. I kept too much of you. In too many drawers. My laugh came out crooked. That sounds expensive. I'm very wealthy, she said, without triumph. I'd like to spend some of it on redemption. The apartment went quiet in the way rooms do when two choices. Stand there in dresses, waiting to be chosen. Say no, she whispered, a dare wrapped in plea. Tell me to walk back into the rain and keep paying for things in private until I run out of penance. What happens if I say yes? I asked. Then I sleep on your couch sober, she said, and the corner of her mouth twitched. And we build a press plan in the morning. We meet a pro bono pit bull at 9. We tour a derelict textile warehouse at noon. We argue about paint at 6. And somewhere between bricks and budgets and a name for the front door, we see if we can bear to learn each other again. The way she said learn felt like a hand on the back of my neck. I should have sent her away. I should have iced my own pulse. Instead, I poured water into 2 glasses and set one in front of her, the simplest sacrament. Drink, she obeyed. She always had when the command was kind. You're staying. I lifted a hand when hope leapt in her eyes on the couch. With a blanket, not because we're what we were, because I need my eyes open when we cut the right throats in the morning. Something in her posture released, relief, respect, a small, shaken joy. Yes, ma'am, she said, a tease that knew its place. Don't, I warned, but the word had less venom than it used to. She stood to fetch the blanket herself, then hesitated. Jordan, I am sorry. No embellishment. No performance. Just 4 words with all. The shine stripped off. I was cowardly and I was cruel. You did not deserve either. Don't be better at apologies than I am at not believing them, I said, but my voice was softer, and we both heard it. We made the couch into a nest, my faded gray throw. The pillow I pretended wasn't her favorite color, a sweatshirt that smelled like laundry in old summers. She toed off her shoes and sat with the carefulness of someone trying not to wake a sleeping animal. I returned to the folder while she watched the window. The rain had softened to a sheen. The city blinked like a tired giant. You used to call storms laundry for the sky, she murmured, and the memory cracked my chest a little. You used to fall asleep at your desk and swear it was meditation. It was survival, she said. I learned better too late. Not too late, I said, surprising both of us. She looked at me like a person stepping into warm water. Thank you for letting me sit here and not outside with my sins. Don't get poetic, I said, but my mouth wouldn't kill the almost smile. We were quiet long enough to hear the building settle. The clock on the stove blinked 2:47, then 2:48. I found the last document in the stack, a draft statement with my name at the top, not hers, to whom I owe an answer. I read the first paragraph and felt my throat tighten. You wrote this. I said, I wrote a version, she admitted. Then I deleted my sentences and started again with what I wished you'd say to me if I were the public and not me, I read aloud, testing the shape of it in my mouth. I didn't leak anything. I lost 3 years and I will not lose my name. Here is what happened, and here is how we changed the system that made it possible. You can tear it apart, she said quickly. I want your voice, not my pen. My voice learned to be quiet, I said. Let me help you turn the volume back up, she whispered. There it was again, the pole, the old gravity dressed in new light. Sleep, I said, because the alternative was too close to the edge. Morning is a ruthless editor. She slid down the blanket up to her shoulder, a hand tucked under her cheek the way it always had. Jordan, what? I wasn't drunk when I rang, she said, eyes already slipping. I took one shot of courage and spent the rest. On your doorstep. My response came out like rain against glass. Fine, good night. Good night, she echoed, and for once the words didn't mean goodbye. I turned off the lamp. The apartment fell into a soft dark, the kind where forgiveness can try its first steps without everyone watching. From the couch, her breathing steadied into sleep. From the table, the folder waited like a door propped open. From my chest, a thing I'd buried lifted its head and listened. And somewhere between storm and silence, I let myself imagine both. Of us in hard hats at noon, arguing about paint like people who get to keep their names. Morning light poured through my blinds like it owned the place, ruthless and exposing. I hadn't slept. How could I, with Avery Sterling's files still sitting on my coffee table like a loaded gun, and her perfume still clinging to my couch cushions, still clinging to me? I hated that. I inhaled deeper. The knock at my door this time was softer, careful. No storm, no drunk desperation. Just her. When I opened it, Avery was all business. Again. Crisp suit, hair tied back, folder in hand. But her eyes her eyes betrayed her. They still carried the wreckage of last night? Coffee? She asked, holding up a tray from the corner cafe like a peace offering. I crossed my arms. Trying bribery now? Her lips curved, almost a smirk. It worked on shareholders. Thought it might work on you. It shouldn't have. But the warmth of the cup in my hand, it felt like more than coffee. It felt like her saying, stay awake with me, Jordan. We sat, the silence thick. She slid the folder closer, pages spilling. Proof of my innocence, names of those who set me up, even letters of apology drafted but never sent. They buried you, Avery said quietly, and I let them. Her voice cracked on that last part. For the first time, I saw not the CEO, but the woman, flawed, guilty, human, and I hated how much I wanted to forgive her. Instead, I pushed. The paper's back. Fine, you proved I wasn't guilty. Now what? No, she exhaled. We rebuild, together. By noon, she dragged me across town to a crumbling warehouse. Rust, brick, broken windows. Not much to look at yet. Her hand brushed mine as we walked inside, and suddenly it didn't feel like ruin. It felt like possibility. This, Avery said, her voice echoing off the empty walls, could be the shelter, a place for women who have nowhere to go. A place for women like... She trailed off, eyes locking on me. She didn't have to finish. A place for women like me. The air between us thickened, hotter than the sun bleeding through the shattered roof. She handed me a rolled-up blueprint, her fingers grazing mine deliberately, lingering longer than necessary. I felt it everywhere. Jordan, she whispered, stepping closer, I don't just want to rebuild your name. I want to rebuild with you. Her nearness was unbearable. The way her breath trembled, the way her body leaned as if pulled by something magnetic. My pulse thudded. For a second, we stood in that half-ruined warehouse, the storm inside us louder. Then the city outside, her lips parted, mine did too. And then a worker's voice echoed from the far end of the hall. Miss Sterling, we're ready for you. The spell shattered. Avery stepped back, smoothing her suit, slipping her mask on like it had never cracked. But her eyes burned with what almost happened. And I knew this wasn't just about blueprints. This was about us. What's more intoxicating, the taste of revenge or the taste of her lips? The day blurred into evening. Meetings, blueprints, sight checks. It was all noise compared to the storm swirling inside me. Every time Avery's hand brushed mine while passing papers. Every time her eyes lingered on my mouth when she thought I wasn't looking. Every time I caught myself wanting her, hating myself for it. By the time we left the warehouse, the city had sunk into twilight. The streets hummed, alive with neon and possibility. "Let me drive you home," she said, her tone softer, more dangerous. I should have said no. Instead, I slid into the passenger seat of her sleek black car, the leather still warm from her. The ride was silence, heavy and hot. Her fingers tapped, the steering wheel restless. My knees pressed together restless. When she pulled up outside my building, I reached for the door handle too fast. "Jordan," her voice stopped me. I turned, and the look in her eyes. It wasn't corporate. It wasn't rehearsed. It was raw, hungry. "I need to say this," she whispered, leaning closer. "I was wrong. I ruined you. And I've regretted it every day since." Her confession sliced through me. I should have shoved her words back down her throat with anger. Instead, I just stared at her lips, parted, trembling. She saw it. She moved. And then her mouth crashed onto mine. It wasn't gentle. It was years of rage, betrayal, and desire colliding in one impossible kiss. Her hand tangled in my hair, pulling me closer. My fist clenched her blazer, dragging her into me as if I could tear away all the years between us. It burned. God, it burned. When we finally broke apart, breathless, she whispered against my skin, told me to stop, and "I will." I didn't. I kissed her again, but reality snapped back fast. I pushed her away, chest heaving. "This doesn't fix anything." Her jaw tightened. "No, but it's real." "Don't tell me you didn't feel it." I did. Too much. So I ran slammed. The car door fled into the night, leaving her alone with the taste of me still on her lips. And the terrifying truth was carved into me now. I didn't just hate her. I wanted her. What's more dangerous, running from her or letting her catch me? I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt her lips again. The way she pulled me in like I was oxygen. The way I let her. By sunrise, my skin still burned with the memory. I told myself, no more, no Avery, not again. So when she knocked on my door the next morning, I didn't answer. She knocked again, louder. "Jordan, please?" I stayed frozen on the couch, clutching my coffee like it could anchor me. Silence. Then her voice through the wood. "I'm not giving up. Not on you. Not this time." And then she left. I hated the hollow ache her absence left behind. The days that followed were a blur of avoidance. At the shelter site, I kept it professional. I spoke to the architect, to the donors, to the volunteers, but not to her. Still, she found ways to break through. A quiet coffee placed by my elbow. A jacket draped over my shoulders when the wind picked up. A stare that lasted just a second. Too long. And then came the night of the fundraiser. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers, laughter, champagne. I wore a dress I hadn't touched in years, scarlet, sharp, a reminder that I wasn't broken. Not anymore. But when Avery saw me, her breath caught. She crossed the room, ignoring everyone else. "You're stunning." "Don't." I snapped, though my pulse betrayed me. "Jordan." Her voice dropped low, private. "I meant what I said. I ruined your life once. I won't do it again, but I can't pretend I don't want you." Her honesty was a blade. And then, in the middle of the crowded room, she reached for my hand. For a second, I didn't pull away. And that second changed everything. We slipped out, away from the music and noise, into the dim corridor behind the ballroom. My back hit the wall before I could think. Her body pressed close, heat and urgency radiating from her. "You hate me," she breathed. "Say it." I couldn't, not when my body arched toward hers like it belonged there. Her lips hovered over mine, waiting, and I shattered. I kissed her hard, reckless, desperate. All the anger, all the years of betrayal and loss melted into fire. When we finally tore apart, her forehead rested against mine. "Jordan," she whispered, voice shaking, "I don't just want to fix the past. I want a future with you." My heart slammed against my ribs, because for the first time, I wanted that too. And it terrified me more than anything. She broke me once. Why am I about to let her hold me together? The morning after the fundraiser kiss, the city felt heavier, like even the skyline was watching me. I buried myself in work at the shelter site, sleeves rolled up, hands dirty with paint and plaster, trying to drown the memory of Avery's lips. But she wouldn't let me forget. By noon, Avery arrived with papers, contracts, donations, blueprints. Her empire behind her for me. "This is real," she said, spreading documents across the table. "Every dime, every deal, I put it. Here, into your shelter, into our dream." I wanted to scream, to cry, to kiss her again. Instead, I whispered, "Why? After everything you did to me?" Her eyes burned. "Because I can't stand the thought of you never trusting me again. I lost my company, my reputation, my pride. But losing you, Jordan, that was the only thing that truly destroyed me." The words hit like thunder. Before I could respond, chaos crashed through the doors. Reporters, cameras, flashes. "Jordan Hay, the disgraced executive. Back with Avery Sterling. Is this shelter just a publicity stunt?" Their voices stabbed the air, twisting everything I'd built. I froze, the old fear flooding back. Headlines, whispers, judgment, it was all happening again. But Avery didn't flinch. She stepped in front of me, shielding me with her body. "Jordan has nothing to hide." She shouted, eyes blazing at the cameras. "I destroyed her once. I won't let anyone else do it again. She is the strongest woman I've ever known, and the shelter is proof of her power, not mine." The room went silent. Because for once, Avery Sterling wasn't protecting her empire. She was protecting me. Later, when the reporters were gone, I sat on the half-built steps of the shelter, my chest trembling. Avery crouched beside me. Dirt streaked her suit. Her hair was a mess. She'd never looked more human. "I meant every word," she whispered. "I'm not here to own you. I'm here to stand with you. If you'll let me." Tears blurred my vision. Because for the first time I believed her, and that terrified me almost as much as it thrilled me. What do you do when the woman who ruined your life becomes the only one who can save it? The shelter's opening night buzzed with lights, laughter, and hope. Fresh paint glowed on the walls. Children's drawings were taped proudly in the lobby. It was everything I had dreamed, everything I thought I'd lost, and Avery was standing right beside me. She looked nervous for the first time since I'd known her. No boardroom armor, no billionaire mask. Just Avery fingers trembling slightly as they brushed mine. "Jordan," she whispered, her voice low so no one else could hear. "I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I don't care if this ruins what's left of my name. All I care about is you." The words broke me open. Because I finally realized Avery wasn't just offering money. She wasn't just offering redemption. She was offering herself. I leaned closer, my lips brushed her ear. "Then stop caring about the world and just care about me." She turned, and the kiss that followed wasn't desperate like before. It was steady, fierce, a vow pressed into my mouth. For the first time, it didn't feel like falling. It felt like choosing. Choosing her. Choosing us. Hours later, when the shelter was quiet, I found Avery in the half-lit office, staring out at the city. "You could still walk away," I teased softly. "Go back to the Empire. Leave me with this mess." She smirked, eyes glinting. "Jordan." "Hey, I'd rather be knee-deep in your mess than sit on a throne alone." I laughed through the tears that spilled over. And when she pulled me into her arms, I let myself believe it. The woman who ruined my life had become the woman I wanted to build it with. And as the city lights burned outside, I knew this time we were unstoppable. The shelter's grand opening wasn't marked by fireworks or speeches, no gilded scissors or velvet ropes. Instead, the sound that christened it was far more sacred, the soft shuffle of tired feet crossing the threshold, the shaky breath of a woman who had finally found a place to rest, and the laughter of children who didn't yet understand the miracle their mothers had walked them into. Jordan stood by the door, her name now cleared, her shoulders no longer weighed down by shame. That had never belonged to her. She watched a young mother clutch a small backpack, everything she owned, while a volunteer guided her to a clean cot in the corner of the common room. The child tugged at her sleeve, eyes wide at the drawings taped to the walls. Crayon suns and stick figure families, donated by local schools, hung proudly like banners of hope. Jordan's throat tightened. This was what she had dreamed of years ago, when she had pitched the idea in a sterile boardroom, only to be laughed out of it. Now it was real. Every brick, every painted wall, every light bulb glowing overhead had been fought for. And against every bitter instinct that told her she didn't deserve to feel proud. She let herself feel it anyway. Avery was there too, no longer the untouchable CEO, no longer the woman who hid behind numbers and glass towers. She was kneeling on the floor, sleeves rolled up, tying the shoelace of a child who wasn't hers, smiling with a gentleness Jordan had once believed was lost forever. When she looked up, their eyes met, and in that gaze, Jordan saw the truth. This wasn't atonement for Avery anymore. It wasn't a performance or a transaction. It was presence, real, earnest. Human. The woman who had once broken her was the same woman mixing cement at midnight, lugging boxes of donated blankets, sketching, paint swatches with messy hands and stubborn hope. She had stayed, and that, Jordan realized, was what she had never dared to believe Avery capable of before. Forgiveness had not been a single lightning strike, but 100 small flickers stitched together over nights of silence, mornings of awkward coffee, afternoons of brick dust and paperwork. Piece by piece, Jordan had lowered the walls she had built around herself. And piece by piece, Avery had proved she wouldn't run again. Now, as the city outside lit up, neon bleeding across the wet pavement, Jordan whispered words she hadn't meant to say out loud. We didn't just build a shelter, we built a home. Avery heard her, of course she did. Her lips curved into a smile that carried no arrogance, no armor. Only gratitude. Jordan reached for her hand, not with desperation, not with fear, but with something steadier. Something chosen. Avery's fingers curled around hers, firm and trembling all at once. And in that moment, Jordan understood. The scandal had taken her career, her name, her faith in people. But it had also led her here, to a building filled with women who would never again have to choose between staying silent or stepping into the storm. To a future she had thought impossible. To a woman who had once destroyed her, and who was now helping her build again. The city hummed beyond the windows, but inside, there was quiet. The kind of quiet that belongs not to endings, but to beginnings. Because forgiveness wasn't the end of their story. It was the foundation. And like the walls of the shelter, it was only just being built.